Much has been said and written about blended learning as an emerging or developing teaching approach. It has attracted the attention of both the academic and corporate practitioners in education and in training. While it has started to take its roots in many educational institutions worldwide, debates continue to question the nobility of this teaching practice. As future teachers, the call is timely for you to acquire empirical and conceptual knowledge and understanding about the promise and practice of blended learning. The term blended learning, or BL for short, was cited in the previous lesson as one of the three broad categories of web-based instruction. Briefly, it was defined as an instructional method of delivery that combines web-based instruction with face-to-face classroom instruction. However, the body of literature forwarded other definitions expressing the varied perspectives and viewpoints of other scholars and practitioners in the field. Historically, according to Charles Graham, blended learning is the convergence between face-to-face learning environments and computer-mediated learning environments. Blended learning is bridging face-to-face instruction with computer-mediated instructions. Others describe blended learning as a combination of virtual and physical learning environments. Dr. Habulan is an educational technologist and a practitioner of blended learning. She viewed blended learning as a combination of strategies and approaches in the process of teaching and learning using web-driven instructional resources. She focuses her definition on the strategies and approaches because they are the key pedagogical elements in the practice of blended learning. The combination of information coming from the teacher and the use of web resources is not what blended learning is all about. It calls for a sound pedagogical foundation to design, develop, and deliver courses online. Blended learning teaching approach comes in four models. The graph illustrates the combination of brick-and-mortar classroom representing the face-to-face instruction with blended learning. It further shows the four models of blended learning, namely rotation, flex, a la carte, and enriched virtual model. Under the rotation model are the other four substation models, namely station, lab, flipped classroom, and individual rotation. In rotation model, the students rotate on a fixed schedule or at the teacher's discretion between learning modalities, at least one of which is online learning. These activities may include small group or full class instruction, group projects, individual coaching, and pencil and paper assignments. Learning of the students mostly takes place on campus, except for any homework assignments. There are four sub-models under this rotation model. In station rotation model, the students experience the rotation within a contained classroom or group of classrooms. The station rotation model differs from the individual rotation model because students rotate through all of the stations, not only those assigned to them. This model answers the question of many who would wish to use blended learning approach that they can actually use blended learning right inside the traditional classroom. This approach observes the following simple steps. Step 1. Create collaborative learning stations or CLS. Ideally, each CLS must have at least a maximum of 8 and a minimum of 5 members. Each CLS must have at least 1 or 2 computers, laptop, iPad, or mobile technology, preferably with internet access. Step 2. assign specific learning tasks for each collaborative learning station. One condition for the station rotation model is that at least one or two learning tasks must be web-driven or make use of instructional web resources. Step 3. Give clear and simple directions. Refrain from giving directions orally as this can create confusion and disorder in the classroom. The best way to do this is to write the direction for the learning task in a piece of paper or handout. Step 4. Give ample time for the CLS to complete their assigned learning task. The teacher should be able to estimate how long each CLS will be able to complete the given task. The teacher should refrain from talking or giving additional directions to the class as soon as the student have started performing their assigned learning task. Step 5. After completing the assigned learning task on a specific time allotted, the students will move or transfer to the next CLS and perform the given task of that CLS. For example, CLS 1 will move to CLS 2 and CLS 2 will move to CLS 3 and so on to show the physical rotation. This has to be done in an orderly manner. This is the stage when the students interact with the content. Step 6. After the students have completed the rotation to the different CLS, a teacher-led open discussion can follow where the teacher pursues and put in context the learning experiences of the class from the different learning stations. This is the teacher-led instruction stage when the teacher interacts with the students. Actually, the teacher can further direct the students to go online or visit a website for enrichment or assessment. Station rotation model of blended learning is today widely used both in the basic education and in higher learning institutions. The delivery of the K-12 program may adopt this model to provide extended learning opportunities for the students. Okay, so the second submodel is the lab rotation model. It is the same as the station rotation except that the students rotate to the computer laboratory or in multimedia room for the online learning stations. This approach may be used for older students who are more responsible and those with longer class schedules because the physical rotation may take longer time. So the third submodel is the flipped classroom. This model allows students to participate in online learning off-site in place of traditional homework and attend to the school for face-to-face and for teacher-guided practice or projects. The content is primarily delivered online, which makes flipped classroom different from the other rotation models where the students simply do their homework online at night. The last and the fourth submodel is the individual rotation. In this model, the teachers give each student enrolled in a particular course or subject an individualized playlist and does not necessarily rotate to each available station or modality. The teacher provides the individual student schedules. Okay, so let us now move on to the second model of the blended learning, the flex model. This model provides the students with an individualized and customized mobility on more flexible schedules among learning modalities. The teacher of record is on site and students learn mostly on the campus, except for any homework and assignments. The teacher of record or other adults face-to-face support on a flexible and adaptive as needed because these activities such as small group instruction, group projects, and individual tutoring assignments. Certified teachers may be around to supplement the online learning on a regular basis, while in others, minimal face-to-face enrichment is provided. There are several ways this particular model may be implemented. The That is why it's called flex model. A la carte focuses on a course that a student takes entirely online along with the other experiences that the student is having at school or learning center. The teacher of record for the a la carte course is the online teacher. Student may have two options, either on campus or off-site. This is different from full-time online learning because it is not a whole school experience. Students take some courses a la carte and others face-to-face at campus. Last but not the least, the fourth model of the blended learning is the Enriched Virtual model. In this model, a course or subject in which students have required face-to-face learning session with their teacher and then are free to complete their remaining coursework remotely from the face-to-face teacher. When students are located remotely, online learning serves as the backbone of learning. The practice of Enriched Virtual model of blended learning started as full-time rotation online schools and later on developed blended programs to extend students' school experiences. The Enriched Virtual models differ from the flipped classroom because in Enriched Virtual model, students seldom meet face-to-face with their teachers. It differs from a fully online course because face-to-face learning sessions are optional and only when required. Communication is a matter of an exchange of messages between man and machines, between machines and man, and between machine and machine. Communication is the driving force in online learning. There are two types of communication that can take place in a virtual learning environment. First, we have the asynchronous communication, associated with learning anytime and anywhere and does not require a constant bit rate. Second, we have the synchronous communication that takes place in real time, usually in a chat room. Although today's mobile technologies and use of social media allows users to communicate both asynchronously and synchronously, we still need interaction. Interactions play a crucial role in online learning. According to Moore and Kearsley, active learning will not take place in an online environment unless the interaction is deliberately planned and the teacher encourages it. There are three forms of interaction in distance education, namely learner-to-content, learner-to-learner, and teacher-to-learner interaction. Teacher-to-student interaction takes place when the online teacher, for example, conducts an open discussion with the students using the chat room, social media technologies, and other tools for online conferences. This type of interaction requires real-time communication and therefore it is synchronous. The chat room is one basic tool where teacher-to-student interaction normally takes place. In student-to-content interaction, learners spend interacting with course content including textbook, PowerPoint lecture presentations, web pages, and discussion forums. Interaction with content in the context of online learning can take many forms and serve a variety of functions. The learner-to-content interaction is demonstrated when online students are given the opportunity to interact with the lesson or specific subject matter which may be assigned to them by their online teacher. For example, the online teacher directs the students to visit a website to read a particular article that covers the lesson. It can also be demonstrated when online students are assigned to a particular web-based instructional material such as a simulation or a tutorial program. The student-to-student interaction is perhaps the most important of Moore's three forms of online interactions. This type of interaction takes place between and among online students. If you recall your previous course on teaching methods and strategies, designing learning activities in a traditional learning environment requires your creativity to prompt and sustain student-to-student interaction. Use of online collaborative learning activities, problem solving, case-based instruction, and other learning tasks provide students the opportunities to interact among themselves and learn from each other. In an online learning environment, similar learning activities may be applied to some extent. However, they differ on the medium employed to prompt, promote, and sustain student-to-student interaction.